More on that verdict, let's turn to Mokhtar Awad from the Center for American Progress, who's part of their national security and international policy team. Mokhtar, welcome to our program.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to begin by getting your reaction to this verdict.
It was kind of not a surprise. I don't think anyone expected them to go for the death penalty, especially on this case. However, a 20-year sentence is sure to send some shockwaves inside the organization of the Muslim Brotherhood and the larger movement, if you will, of supporters to that organization. But it's also sending a strong message that I think the regime is looking at this. As you've mentioned, there are multiple cases, and in fact, about 3 more. All you can think about it is every step of the way, with every sentencing, it's increasing and putting another chip on the table. The fact that he did not get executed at the end of the day, this is a man deposed in a military coup. Those people either get shot in a military tribunal or get permanently exiled. The fact that we're having this does not necessarily show that they're truly committed to free trials, but in fact they want to keep this man alive. They want to be able to eventually come at some sort of negotiated settlement with his many supporters on the street.
Are you getting a sense this was in fact a fair trial, or do you take what Muslim Brotherhood is really telling us, that this was a political verdict?
It's a bit convoluted when it comes to Egypt. I think we see the same problem with Morsi that we saw with Mubarak. Mubarak was a man who was deposed for being an ineffective dictator. Under his rule, many Egyptians died and suffered. Yet the kind of court cases brought against him were about villas that his sons illegally acquired. We see the same things with Morsi. Cases stacked up that are quite sensational, but in reality is the civilian court system cannot handle political cases. And so in fact, Morsi should be tried on political crimes. That's the problem. But what we see is a civilian court system trying to handle sentencing a former president, and it's failing. For people who are opposed to Morsi, they wanted to see a death penalty because they believe the man was responsible for those deaths that happened in front of the palace during his reign. So it is fair and also unfair in a way. And again, this just goes to the convoluted system that Egypt has.
How does this happen to Egypt's first freely elected president? Many Egyptians had hopes for this process, had hopes for him, Morsi.
Sure. It really is something that I think came crashing down after the Muslim Brotherhood took some significant steps to try and assert more power. This is in the late 2012. When Morsi was first elected, there was a lot of rallying around him. Sure, he's had his opposition. The reality of the fact is it's not just about having a regime in place or what they call a deep state, but the Muslim Brotherhood effectively failed to rule and govern. They had an opportunity and they could not handle it. And in the aftermath of that, we have an attempt at restructuring a past authoritarian system. But I think there are people who are still hopeful and see what happened as not necessarily as a major course misdirection, but rather a bump on the road. I'm less optimistic than those people may be, but one can only be so, especially with the Muslim Brotherhood's track record does not necessarily make you feel that a great experiment in Egyptian democracy was really taken out. There was serious problems during his one-year reign.
So, Mokhtar, what's next? Will Morsi's legal team have any success appealing this sentence?
The irony here is that the appeals are going to try and come from the people that want to see him executed. The legal defense system the Muslim Brothers have, I've interviewed these people, CAP has done many work on this. They see it as basically a way as having a channel between the people in prison and outside. They don't actually trust and know that they're getting somewhere. Yet with that being said, the system is so legalistic that if things are in place, they can mount a successful challenge, not only in this case, but in future cases.